This is a speech given by Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1992. As we said so many times before, this is just months before the Rebbe had a stroke, which rendered him mute. He wasn't able to speak. He was half paralyzed. So these messages are very important. And of course, the Rebbe's message is the message of Judaism to the world. And the main message of Judaism to the world is Moshiach. Moshiach is going to be a person just like Moses, and he's going to make amazing changes in the world. And he's going to alter, in many ways, the consciousness of man. That men are going to, human beings, are going to be more aware that there's a creator. And they'll be more aware that they're being created. Just like Moses took the Jews out of a physical Egypt, but he didn't take the Jews out of their spiritual Egypt. After the Jews got out of Egypt, they still were slaves to the world, to their own worries and passions and fears. That's why they worship the golden calf. That's the source of idolatry. People's fears and guilt and etc. Mainly fear, being alone in the world. So Abraham came along. Abraham was the first Jew, and he was really the preparation for the giving of the Torah. Abraham was about 400 years before the Torah. Abraham was the father of Judaism, and the reason was when like I said, when the Jews got out of Egypt and they received the Torah, so those are all things that God did. God chose the Jews, God helped the Jews. The first of the 10 commandments, I am God that took you out of Egypt. But God did the whole thing. Abraham's whole thing was he did everything himself. He did everything on his own. Right? By the Jews, everything was going for them. God helped them. He removed all obstacles. Right? Gave the Egyptians 10 plagues, split the sea, gave them food in the desert. And Abraham was exactly the opposite. God, so to speak, did not help him at all. I mean, after all, he did, of course. God was doing the whole business. But God told Abraham, it says that he was thrown into a fiery furnace, and finally a big miracle happened. But getting thrown into a fiery furnace is not, is not a very good selling point for a religion. Become a Jew, get thrown into a fiery furnace. Who's going to do it? Don't worry, you get out. You'll get out safe. God will do a miracle. Try it with somebody else. Very good. 1 second. Let me do this here. There we go. What's going on? Oh. So Lech Lecha, Abraham was like 400 years. So Abraham was the preparation before the giving of the Torah. Abraham was telling the Jews what they have to do on their own. When God's going to take you out of Egypt and God's going to give you the Torah, that's what God's going to do for you. But what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to serve God like Abraham. So Abraham was really the preparation for the Torah, And we see that the Jews didn't really internalize this message because they worshiped the golden calf, right? To the degree that God wanted to wipe them all out after they received the Torah. Okay, let's go. Lech Lecha is a general, Lech Lecha, this week's Torah portion, this is a general and essential chapter of the Torah. Let me get this thing over here. In this Torah portion, it's talking about the time of Abraham. Now, Abraham, like I said, was about 2,000 years after God created the world, was Abraham. And it said that there's 3 periods in the world. There's 2,000 years of confusion. That's from the creation of the world until Abraham. Then there's 2,000 years of Torah. That's like from Abraham until the temple. And then there's 2,000 years of Moshiach. That's like from the temple until now. That's the way that's a midrash that says like that. So Abraham was the first Jew, and he began from the first commandment of God to Abraham, which is this week's Torah portion. God said to Abraham, Lech Lecha, go to yourself. In other words, here where you are you can't find your true self, leave this place and go from, he was in Or Kasdim, where he was outside of Israel, and go to Israel. Go me'artzecha, from the land where you are now, from your birthplace. Abraham was born outside of Israel. And from the house of your father, to the land I will show you, the Holy Land, the Promised Land. And afterwards, Hemshech Parsha continues out. Abraham went to land of Israel, and God promised to give Abraham and his children in the future the whole land of Israel. That was in the covenant between the pieces. And God said, I will give you land forever. And then that was with the Brit HaBetorim, that was the covenant between the pieces when Abraham was 75 years old. God made a covenant with Abraham and said, to your land, I'm going to give you the land of Israel. Good. That's how the Torah portion starts. And then this Torah section, it ends where God commands Abraham, gives him a second covenant. Gives him a second covenant. This is like, 24 years later, and says to him, do circumcision, circumcise yourself. And this is going to be, Abraham does it himself. That by means of this, there was another covenant between the Jewish people and God. This is my covenant between me and between you and between you. So in the first covenant, God gave Abraham the land of Israel. And the second covenant with the circumcision, God gave him the nation of Israel. Briti b'basarchem, there will be a circumcision, a sign in your flesh forever. Because whatever it says in Lech Lecha, from your land, this is the promise of God to Lech Lecha. This is what God promised Abraham, the land of Israel, and also the circumcision. Hey minyanim, these are the first things in the Torah in the service of Abraham, who Abraham was the first Jew. Asher mimenu, that from it is the source of the Jewish people, all the Jewish people. So if so, it's understood she'em mevatim, that they express the whole general definition or meaning of what is the Torah and what is Judaism. Huh? Now, just by the way, I'm just saying this as a parenthetical statement, that's our claim to the land of Israel. Our claim to the land of Israel is not that we've been living here for a long time and that it's mentioned so many times in the Bible and that it's not mentioned in the other books, right, in the Quran, etc. That's not our claim to the land of Israel at all. Those are claims. It's all right, but that's not our main claim. Our claim to the land of Israel is that God promised it to one person, even if no one ever lived in the land of Israel from time immemorial. Nobody ever lived here. The land belongs to us. Let's say the land was only inhabited by Palestinians or whatever, by Arabs, by Muhammad himself. And he lived in the land of Israel with all the Arabs. It does not belong to anybody except for the Jews. God promised it to Abraham. God promised it to Abraham. If so, the connection of the Jewish people to the land of Israel is godly. God promised. Who is God? The creator. God is creating everybody. God is creating all the Palestinians. There's no such thing as Palestinians, but he's creating all of them. And he's creating all the Mohammedans, and he's creating all the Muslims. He's creating everybody in the world. God is creating everyone. God is creating the whole entire world. And he promised one little part of it to Abraham, and no creation can possibly deny that. Not even the Israelis. They're trying, but it won't work. In the end, the land of Israel belongs to us. Why? Because of this story that we're here learning now. God promised Abraham the land of Israel. Okay, it's known that with Abraham began what's called 2,000 years of Torah. Abraham began the preparation for the giving of the Torah. And even more, Abraham began the 2,000 years of the Torah, even though that Abraham lived about 400 years before the Torah was given. But nevertheless, he began this whole period because the whole idea of the Torah is to know how to serve the Creator, what to do. And that's what Abraham brought into the world. Abraham brought into the world how to serve the Creator. And even more, it began from him. It began the giving of the Torah, It began from him. From him began the special, unique idea of the giving of the Torah, like it says in the writings of the Arizal, and especially began this idea Matsui by Abraham, Lech lecha me'artzecha, especially by the commandment of God to go from your land to the land that I will show you. Therefore, Gam lo mesupar b'Torah, it's not spoken in the Torah except very few little details about any of the other deeds of Abraham, b'terem bo le'eretz Yisrael. Right here, this Torah portion introduces us really to Abraham. A little bit is spoken about him before. His father was Terach, and his brother was right. His brothers was the Haran and Nahor, but it doesn't tell very much about what happened to Abraham. Now, there's a big story that happened before this week's Torah portion, and that is when Abraham was in a place called Ur Kasdim, as there was a very powerful, charismatic leader of basically the whole world, and his name was Nimrod. And Nimrod, he was he recognized God, he knew what God is, and every instant of his life was just to rebel against God. Rebel against God. How could he do that? Because he could do it. If he could do it, why not do it? So Nimrod was a big rebeller. That's the name. Nimrod also means Limrod, to rebel against God. And he had the whole world believing that he was God. And Abraham said, no way, I'm not going to bow down to Nimrod. And Nimrod said, I'm going to throw you into a fiery furnace. And he did throw him into the fiery furnace. And the people that threw Abraham into the fiery furnace, it was so hot that they died themselves. And Abraham was just walking around in the fiery furnace. Nothing happened to him, and he got out. Now, this story is not mentioned in the Torah. That's a pretty impressive story. On the other hand, the stories that are mentioned in the Torah are not really that impressive. What happened to Abraham? I mean, getting thrown into a fiery furnace and not even being singed, burned, nothing whatsoever. You don't see that every day. You know, that's a really good, selling point for Judaism, right? Believe like Abraham and you'll be saved. You're fireproof, huh? Nothing better than that. At least I can think of. Or at least say that's our leader, our great leader. He was thrown into the fire, and fire could not rule over our holy leaders. That story is not even mentioned in the Torah. It's mentioned in Midrash. In Midrash, and there's Agadata in the Talmud. It's mentioned. Why not mention such a wonderful thing like that? It's the same thing like in the Torah. It's not mentioned heaven or hell. Talk about heaven or hell. You want your religion to succeed. You have a lot of members. Say, believe in us, you're going to go to heaven. Don't believe in us, you're going to go to hell. Why doesn't it say that? Says, first of all, that's not the point of Judaism at all. The point of Judaism is this physical world. Okay, so it's this physical world. So tell about how Abraham got almost burned. Says, because that's not our point of Judaism. It's not what God does for us. It's what we do for God, that we're willing to do for God, even if we get thrown into a fiery furnace, and God forbid, burned up in the fiery furnace. That God saved Abraham. Abraham didn't have anything to do with it. His thing was he was going to serve God no matter what. And even if Nimrod came and he promised everyone, you're going to go to heaven if you believe in me and I am the way, and he was successful. Nimrod ruled the whole world. Abraham said, okay, everybody, but not me. I don't believe in you. I believe only in the Creator. Nimrod threw him into fiery furnace, which that should be enough, just the thought of it would be enough to make anybody say, okay, I changed my mind. He didn't change his mind. And it's not even written in the Torah. Why? Because the main thing of Abraham is what Abraham did for God. And that begins here. Lech lecha, that God told Abraham, leave your land, the place where you were born, the house of your fathers. It's not talking, in the Torah is not mentioned the things that happened before. Especially the stories about Abraham. The main thing is just, it tells us that Abraham went to the land of Israel. It doesn't tell us what happened on the way to going to the land of Israel. It says Abraham was already 75 years old. The whole previous 75 years of Abraham's life is almost not mentioned. And it says that Abraham recognized God when he was 3 years old. It says one opinion. Another opinion when he was 40 years old. Like it's explained in the Chassidut. So we have to understand, everything in the Torah is a teaching. Even the most apparently meaningless statements in the Torah come to teach us something. Some can only be learned by teachings of Kabbalah or by teaching. Nevertheless, everything in the Torah is an eternal teaching at all times and every place in the service of the Jewish people. If so, what is the teaching that we can learn of the Jewish people that we now are after the Torah was given? What can we learn from the story of Abraham, which was before the Torah was given? And not only that, what are we learning for? Lech Lecha, a one-time thing that was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. That God told Abraham, go from your land, go from your place. Okay, it's a thing that happened. It was a preparation for the Torah, but we got the Torah. We already got the Torah already. At first glance, it's history. The Torah is not just a history book. The Torah is coming to teach us something. The Torah is a workbook. The Torah is coming to tell us to do things. What is this Torah coming to tell us to do? God told Abraham to do something in order to prepare for the Torah, and Abraham already got the Torah. We already got the Torah. It's not like you're learning from a book, how to prepare to find yourself a wife. You have to dress like this, you have to look nice, you have to talk properly, you have to this, because you're looking for a wife. And so but here, how to prepare for getting the Torah? We already got the Torah. We already received the Torah. What do we need to learn about this? It's like going to a person that's already married and giving a book, how to prepare to get married. If your wife finds that you have such a book, you're in trouble. What do you got a book, how to prepare to get married? What, you don't want to be married to me? Here, God gave us the Torah. We're already married. What do we have to learn about this again for? To prepare for the marriage. What do we have to learn for Lech Lecha, to prepare to receive the Torah? We already have the Torah. Says the Rebbe, we have to say that we have to know that the service of Abraham is a preparation and also a empowerment. God is empowering us to serve God after the Torah was given. Right? That's a good answer. It says, no, that's not it. It says, that answer, that it was telling us how to serve God after this is not enough. Why? Because this is not teaching us anything. What is teaching us that Abraham left his land and he went? This is not helping us really to serve God after the Torah was given. We already received the Torah. This is a preparation in order to what? This is a preparation to serve God after the Torah. But Abraham did everything before the Torah was given. We have the Torah now. We have to have different teachings, something more modern. It's like you go to whatever is a driver's training, right? In order to learn how to drive a car, and they teach you how to drive a horse with a wagon. So what do I need this for? We don't have horses and wagons. We already have a car. It's already. It's the same thing. What do we have to learn about what Abraham did before the Torah was given? Right? We already have the Torah. All these teachings are obsolete, right? Says the Rebbe, even more. Every year when we read this section of the Torah, we have to live with it brand new. How much more so every day the Torah has to be brand new in your eyes? How much more so in the special time of the year when we read this Torah, Lech Lecha, we read this portion and publicly. So there must be a special brand new message every year from what Abraham did before the Torah that tells us something new that we didn't know last year when we read it about receiving the Torah, which we received already 300 years ago. Because somehow or other this returns. This message is even deeper, and it has to be even with more power. Okay, according to this, so it comes out that this coming Shabbat, Lech Lecha, every year it returns and repeats itself, this whole message of God telling Abraham, go, leave your land, leave your house of your fathers. This is a preparation for the giving of the Torah in an additional way that all of the years that were previous. Okay, so we have to understand what could possibly be to us now when we are standing already well after 3,000 plus years after the giving of the Torah, not only after the preparation of Matan Torah, but after we've already finished, we received the Torah. And even more, we've been reading this Torah portion. Since the Torah was given to the Jews, they have read the Torah in public, non-stop, 3,000, Moses established. Every Shabbat, you read the Torah, the whole entire portion of the Torah, in a way that you finish it once every year. That's the custom now. Once every year, We've been doing this for 3,300 years. And now we're just reading it. We have to learn from it. And we have to learn a special message from it. And we have to internalize it. And it has to inspire us anew. And we've been learning the same message 3,300, whatever is it, 36 times. We've been learning the same message over and over again. And every time it's supposed to be deeper and deeper and deeper. And what is the message? Preparing us to receive the Torah. We already received the Torah before we even started getting these messages. So what's the point? Says the Rebbe, even more. The whole idea of the giving of the Torah, which is an everyday, like we say in our blessings, notain a Torah, that God gives the Torah. Right now, like the rabbis say, every day it should be in your eyes brand new. Like it says, we have to elevate, go up in holiness. You can't stay in the same place in holiness. You have to always increase. This is understood that every day we have to renew something. We have to, how do you say, have a novelty every day and raise ourselves in a higher way of appreciating God and his Torah and the commandments itself. If so, after all of these elevations, we've had 3,300 elevations of giving the Torah every day brand new, and also in a special way, every single year in a new way. When we read the Torah, this Parshat Yitro, giving the Torah, Parshat Etchanan, where it talks about, repeats the giving of the Torah, how much more so in the holiday of Shavuot, when we celebrate the giving of the Torah, elevations after elevations after elevations of receiving the Torah. If so, how can we read every year a preparation for receiving the Torah? Every year we receive the Torah brand new. And every day we're supposed to receive the Torah brand new. And especially when we read about it in the Torah, in Parshat Yitro and Etchanan, we read about the 10 Commandments. And especially in the holiday of Shavuot. And we've been celebrating this already for 3,300 plus years. So every day it's been added on more and more and more, right? Why tell us every year a preparation for receiving the Torah? We get energy for the Torah every year, at least 3 times in these holidays, in the holiday of, in these special times. In Shavuot, when we read about the giving, the holiday of the giving of the Torah, and when we read about the 10 Commandments in the book of Exodus and the book of Deuteronomy, we read about the 10 Commandments, how God gave us the 10 Commandments. So we're getting power. Why do we have to read every single year about how to prepare for receiving the Torah like Abraham did? Yesh lomar, we can lo natan lomar, we can't say that the service of Lech Lecha is a preparation. This is just those people that they missed it. They didn't prepare properly the previous years. So because God is always giving us a chance to catch up, so therefore God says you didn't get it on when the Torah was read in Yitro and in the holiday of Shavuot and when it was read in Etchanan. So I'm giving you another chance, right? And Lech Lecha. Because the revelations of the Torah, the 10 Commandments, when God gave the Torah on the first time in Mount Sinai, didn't depend on the service of the Jewish people. The revelation of giving the Torah on its own, this affected the whole entire world. Seaport says that there's no birds chirped. No, they didn't, right? Birds didn't, no, there was no flies in the air. How much more so every single Jew? Every single word that God spoke, it says their souls jumped out of their bodies. This means that when the Jews received the Torah, the whole entire world changed. Okay, so the question is a big question. If we want to take this statement seriously, that the Torah was given to change us, and that we have to be renewed every year by the Torah. So what do we have to have Parshat Lech Lecha telling us every year about how to receive the Torah? We receive it already. We received it 3,000 years ago. We receive it brand new every time we read about it. Why do we have to read about the preparation, making the preparation? Brand new every year, the preparation. We're receiving already the Torah thousands of times already, right? Every holiday of Shavuot, we receive the Torah brand new. That's already been 3,300 times we've celebrated that holiday. And every time we read in the Torah, why do we have to read Lech Lecha every year and take this message seriously that it's a preparation for receiving of the Torah when we already received the Torah thousands of times? Or we can just simply say that, listen, maybe the Torah is not every word of the Torah we have to learn from. Maybe it's just a nice story. It's a story that's telling, says the Rebbe, that would be the easier way out, but it's not the true way out. There's no way out. The Torah is obligating us to prepare for receiving the Torah in the way that Abraham did. And we have to do it every year, brand new in a deeper way, even though we receive the Torah. Okay, what's the point? What do we have? What can we learn from Abraham? Take to heart what? Yishlom, we can say that the main explanation is like this. He understands this, it's self-understood. Since that in the giving of the Torah is in every day, and it's in every year, and it's a way that has to be higher and higher. No Tana Torah. Until that has to be brand new. The giving of the Torah every day has to be new compared to the day before it. Like it's expressed when we say Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha means go to yourself. The preparation of the giving of the Torah. It has to be a preparation in that you have to move truthfully, really. Really. Okay, now moving means you leave what you thought was yourself and you move to a higher level of what you really are. What are we really? We are creations. And every day you can realize that you're more and more this fact, which is totally against everything we feel, everything we're certain of, that I am a creation and I am created to serve God. This is totally not human nature. Walking means going out of your human nature and going out of your world and going into the Creator's world. To accept on yourself more responsibility, more love of God, more fear of God, fear of doing the wrong thing, more faith in God, more joy in serving. That's what it means to go higher and higher. Since the giving of the Torah is in every day in a way that's higher, and it has to be brand new in relation to the days that are before that, therefore, you have to have every day a preparation, a brand new preparation every year, a lech lecha, for receiving the Torah brand new. Like it's stressed by the words of the rabbis, she'al kol dibur v'dibur parcha nishmasim. When the Jews received the Torah, their souls jumped out of their bodies. And after every word that they spoke, Harid, Tal, God, all the Jews died. So God, after every word that their souls jumped out of their bodies and they became out of themselves. And they realized that they're just creations of God. They became totally clinging to God and not to their bodies. God doesn't want that. So God had to bring down, after every word that he spoke, every word of responsibility and realization that they are just creations, their souls jumped out of their bodies from the realization, from making it real. That's the key word. So God had to give them another realization and put their soul back into their body in a way that they didn't understand. That was against what they realized. They realized that God is great. They wanted to be one with God. And God said, okay, that's what you want, but that's not what I want. And God brought down a dew that's going to raise up the dead and enliven them. Enliven the dead. Now, when a person is dead, it says like this, that when a person dies, nobody wants to die. But it says that after people die, then they're happy they're dead. After they die, they're happy they're dead. Why? Because when you're alive, there's all sorts of uncertainties and things like that. But after a person dies, then all of a sudden he becomes certain. I'm just a creation and God is creating me and God loves me. He's creating me. He's one with God. So people, after they die, they want to stay dead. They want to stay spiritual. Spiritual is much better than physical. Physical has all these difficulties and pains and frustrations and fears and things like that, and temptations. But when a person is dead, then everything is clear. So he wants to say that. So he says, God says, I'm not going to let you die. I'm not going to let you stay there. Right? You're comfortable? Yeah, thanks God. I'm not really comfortable up here. God. You're going to come back into life to be alive again. 1 second, I'm comfortable. I did all these Torah commandments. I'm getting my reward. Let me get my reward. Hey, all of a sudden God enlivens them, puts the soul back into the body. What is this? This is the dew of the Torah. Because when you're in your body, you have an obligation You're responsible according to the Torah. When you're up in heaven, there's no Torah responsibilities. You haven't got a body. You can't do it. After their souls jumped out of their bodies, since that they reached a completion level of soul, that namely what? That their soul in their body, their souls jumped out. That's all. They finished their work. Then the Emser Taub, all of a sudden God sent this dew of the Torah that enlivened them. Was the soul was given a new obligation in the world. Therefore, God enlivened the souls like a soul in the body. Similarly, it will be after God spoke the second commandment, or some opinion, the second syllable. Their souls jumped out of their bodies. God put it back in again. In other words, He created them with new responsibility. This is a higher level than before. That's what it means, Shechziru, that God returned them by means of this dew, which is going to enliven the dead. This is the level of a new Torah, which is going to be future, which we're going to talk about later on. We can say, in even a deeper way, that the constant necessity, even after giving of the Torah, for Lech Lecha, that's like the dew that enlivened them, made them brand new, a new preparation for life as a preparation for the giving of the Torah. This is not just because there has to be a preparation in a higher level in the giving of the Torah, but because Lech Lecha, this is relevant to the whole idea of why God gave the Torah in the first place. The purpose of our preparation is not just to receive the Torah. Receiving the Torah, that was the beginning. When we receive the Torah, so we have a new obligation in the world. And this is a big difference between Judaism and all the other religions and all the other conceptions of what God is in the world. In general, religion is a good thing. In general, religion is a good thing. Religion connects you to something which is higher than yourself. The problem is, what do you do after you're connected to what's higher than yourself? What is this thing that's higher than yourself? What does it imply? What does it, they say, inspire you to do? What does it inspire you to do? This power which is above you. So Judaism comes along and says, the power which is above you wants you to do exactly what God wants in this world. Why? That's not your business. Why? That's not your business. You go to heaven, there's rewards and everything, but that's not mentioned in the Bible. That's not your heaven, hell, that's not your business. Your business, God, it could be a person does commandments and does things all of his life. The last minute he messes it up. He goes on television and he says a not nice thing or something, and it makes a big desecration of God's name, and he goes to hell. It could be a person who's a big, terrible sinner all of his life, and he goes on television and says, I really believe in God, Shema Yisrael, and he goes to heaven. You can never really tell so it's God's business. Our business is just to do what God wants, according to responsibility. That's Judaism. God cares about every detail that you do in this physical world in order to do His will. That's all. You're doing His will. All the other religions promise you're going to go to heaven, you're going to get the rewards, you're going to get enlightened, you're going to get higher levels of consciousness, you're going to whatever it is, all these things. And it could be that what they say is true. Could be. It could be, but that's not the point of life. That's not the reason why God is creating us. God is creating us so that we should be connected to Him in this physical world and do what He wants in this physical world and feel what He wants. And that's the idea of Lech Lecha. We have to constantly be going out of ourselves, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. But just one thing, that the less a person thinks about himself and the more he thinks about his Creator, the happier you are. Because life flows. It flows everywhere you are, no matter what situation you are. Even if, God forbid, you're in Auschwitz or in Siberia, or whatever, you're just an emissary of the Creator. God put you in a difficult situation to fix the situation. And that's the Lech Lecha. That's what it began by Abraham, and we'll talk about this more, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's do the Yom Yom. 1 minute.